Many people believe that damper is an indigenous Australian food. In reality, it's more an iconic bread from the times of colonisation and white settlement of Australia. Imagine the stockmen and the drovers going out on the lands for long periods of time whilst industry was being set up. They would have had to take all their rations with them, and it would have been pretty basic. Water, flour, some meat, maybe some salt, some tea, but not much else, you know. At the end of a hard day's work, you need something fast and you need something filling. If you've already got a fire, you can see how damper has its place in history. We're going back to basics with this one, making a very traditional damper with an Out There with Dan spin on it. Let's do it. Traditional damper's got three main ingredients: flour, a good pinch of salt, and water to mix it into a loose dough. That's it. Most people these days use self-raising flour. It seems to be the best. You can imagine back in the day, there might have been scarce amounts of butter or milk or eggs. And so you can see how these things have snuck their way into the recipe, with probably some British history to it as well with baking. Once you add all these things in though, you basically have a scone. And so if you haven't done this much before, go back to basics and just muck around with it, keeping it simple. I reckon that's the best way to do it. Originally, you'd bury it underground to cook it, bury it in the coals. Then at some point it became popular to wrap it around a stick. And I think these days most people are putting them in their camp oven. There's two theories that are argued about where the name came from. The first is that it's from an old English dialect derived from the term to dampen one's appetite. And the other is dampening a fire was an old way of basically covering the coals with ash so that the next day or later on you can dig it out and you've still got hot preserved coals. Hence you're damping the fire. Both of these seem pretty plausible. All right, let's do it. 1.5 to 2 cups of self-raising flour. A really decent pinch of salt. And I am going to put in some butter. I reckon butter gives you the most value in terms of anything you can add for flavour. It's good to melt the butter before you put it in, just so you can stir it in easier, otherwise it gets all clumpy. Then you put in the water. Some people like to make a well in the middle and then stir it around that way. Do it how you like. You're better off adding a little bit at a time and getting it just right, rather than adding too much. I think that'll do it there. If you go a bit over, just add in a bit more flour. Some people like to knead it, but I don't think you need to. Just stir it up until you get a nice clump like that. If you're going to use flour for dusting or for non-stick, use plain flour. So this is plain flour, not self-raising. And then just grab your dough. Just going to coat the outside with flour, play it with it a bit. That looks pretty good. I like to use a trivet and also some alfoil. Just makes the cleanup super simple. And I'm going to use plain flour and just dust the bottom so that it doesn't stick. This just keeps it easy. It's a lot harder to burn it doing it this way, and you can focus on spending time with people instead of watching the fire. I found you get the best results when you do most of your heat from up top, so putting coals on top. So that's what I'm going to do here. Unload a bit into the Bedourie lid. Red hot, those coals. All right. Damper ready to go in. Go on top. And we'll give it 30, 40 minutes. As some wisecracker once said, you've got to burn to learn, but I check on it in about half a. Doing it this way, you'll probably burn the top or the bottom first, not just sort of charcoal the whole thing, so it's salvageable anyway. There is evidence that our indigenous people made bread like damper. They've discovered grindstones and millstones that they reckon are 30,000 to 50,000 years old, and that might make our Aboriginal Australians the world's first bakers. Things like nuts, seeds, roots, spinifex, millet, wattle seed, those kind of things would have been grinded up into bread to form part of a traditional diet. As the traditional way of living, I don't know if you can hear those kookaburras, as the traditional way of living was decimated for our Indigenous people, they would have been forced to eat the milled flour and sugar that was brought in by the British. And this abrupt change in diet, having never had it in their diet before for thousands of years, has led to a lot of the problems in our Indigenous communities now, health problems like diabetes and such. It's kind of ironic really that people think it's an Indigenous food when really it's probably one of the key things that's led to a lot of the health issues with our Indigenous people now. All that makes me pretty sad, but the way I think about it is by making damper like this, I'm celebrating the way that people have made bread on this land for a really long time, and I'm okay with that. All right, let's have a look. Yep, that's looking pretty good. There's a few checks you can do to see if it's cooked in the middle, and one is stick something sharp in it. And if it comes out pretty clean, it means that it's probably cooked. Get that out. Looking pretty good. Spin this around. The other thing you can do, it's pretty hot now, but you can, it sounds like nice and hollow, means it's done. Hey there, how you going? Right, here's the out there with Dan bit. Icing sugar, a little bit of milk, just using long life, and a hint of vanilla essence, maybe a little more than you meant to. And that is basically a donut glaze. And that's why I'm calling this sticky damper. So you can use jam, cream, but this is just something different you might not have tried. It tastes really good. It's really easy to overdo it. You only pretty much need to add in half a teaspoon at a time. Otherwise you'll make it too runny. It's pretty good. All right. Camp kitchen's coming together. I thought I'd bring it along even though it's not finished. Check out my series on how I'm turning this box into a camp kitchen. On the next video for that, I'll be talking about my new knife, this thing. It's a pretty serious knife. So yeah, if you're excited about that, come watch those other videos. All right, let's have a go at this. Straight in the middle. Looks like I nailed it. Maybe a little bit more heat on the bottom, because the very bottom of it not quite done. But you can see how fluffy that is. So good. Just load it up with some of this. And that is Out There with Dan Sticky Damper. So good. There's some beautiful little blue wrens bouncing around. Hopefully they jump into frame and add a bit of ambience. The audio was choppy here, guys. Thought I'd take the opportunity to say g'day personally, wishing you well wherever you are. Hey, there's that bird I was talking about. Many of us have recently gotten freedoms back with pandemic restrictions easing. Be safe out there, respect each other, be patient, there's plenty of time and space for all of us. It's really good with kids, you know. It's messy, it's fun, everyone can get involved in it. That's what I really like about it. And another fun way to do it is, instead of thinking of things to buy to put in it and creating a recipe and making it, just see what you've got and go from there. So see what's in your pantry and do it that way. That's just as much fun. It's like MasterChef. I've got these ingredients, what can I make with it? That's a really good way to do it. When I was little, I reckon I could have murdered a whole damper like this. But these days I'll have one, like probably this much. It'll do me. It's filling. Yeah, I think it's probably something to do with my metabolism and all the carbohydrates and all that. But you can see how back in the day, if you needed energy and you needed it to last and you didn't have anything else, you can see how this is really excellent. You can have a damper for lunch, have it for dessert, have it for supper, have it with soup. You could have it with your morning coffee. Pretty diverse sort of thing. So easy to do. All you can really do is burn it, in which case you've lost about 20 cents of ingredients and you just start again. I listened to an excellent audiobook recently called Dark Emu Black Seeds by Bruce Pascoe, and basically it debunks the myth that our indigenous people were hunter-gatherers, and it shows the evidence and the records that they actually had very advanced farming and agriculture. Excellent book. Even if you're not into that sort of thing, the sort of storytelling about it, you're guaranteed to learn something, and I think the more Australians that read that sort of thing, the better off we're going to be with understanding our real history, you know. I'd love to hear your best tips and advice for making a really good damper. Please leave a comment, share with me and the community. There's going to be more dampers on the channel. They're going to be fancier. This is as simple as it gets. It's great to be out. I look forward to seeing your face in the next one. See you soon. Hey little buddy, how you going? Yeah, just making a damper. Yeah, there's going to be more people around, sorry. Oh, you're just starting to get used to it.